Good morning. This is Jared Gray with my co-host Jordan Range through Expand the Box Score. This is the IDP 411. Good morning. How are you doing, brother?
Good, man. Living, loving. Watched a bunch of football yesterday. Ate a bunch of junk food. I feel pretty fat today, but
I feel the same. I spent a lot of time in Vegas, obviously, this last weekend and made a few bets here and there for sure.
You win any money?
I did pretty well yesterday on some parlay bets. So
Nice. I saw that there were some bets last night. The Rams. There was like one for Josh Reynolds. That was a prop bet. I was like over under like 50 yards, and I was like, "There's no Brandon Cooks. It's like there's no Robert Woods." I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's easy money." I don't bet, but I mean, I just looked at that and I could tell.
Yeah, it's definitely a safe bet on that one for sure.
Yeah.
So
speaking of game last night, what a shit show. Jared Goff.
It was a bad Sunday night game, right? I mean, I think they probably, expected it to be a little better. It's weird that they flexed it at the last minute, but
you got two of the worst quarterbacks in the league. I mean, and Jared Goff's a good. I mean, like, okay, that's kind of rude. You've got two of the most questionable quarterbacks in the league. Mr. Trubisky, I feel like he got. We've talked before in the past. I mean, they've talked ad nauseum. He only started a few games in college, and then he was suddenly like a franchise quarterback. So I'll give.
He only had one season as a starter.
I'll give him more of a pass than Jared Goff, but Jared Goff's been in the big games now. He's been the shit show. He's been the good hero, and he's gone to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, he should have leveled up. He shouldn't be daunted quite as easily as he seems to be. So that game last night ended up being nonsense. The Rams did win, but, it was.
Yeah, it's just, you kind of expect a little defensive battle, especially after what happened last week. The Rams didn't look good against Pittsburgh.
Nope.
And then, that's the one thing that overall the Bears have had is a decent defense. They do have Khalil Mack, but they're riddled with injuries too. So Kwiatkowski, who we thought was going to have a decent game, they stayed away from him. Corey Littleton, who we expected to have a decent game, stay away from them. So I don't know, kind of rough to watch. I mean, it's probably one of the worst Sunday night games that in a couple weeks for sure.
Oh yeah, but tonight we're gonna get a little redemption. We get to see my dog Patrick Mahomes go out and throw his usual 450 and 5. We'll see Rivers throw his 4 interceptions. If they weren't back in the fourth quarter, they'll lose. It's all been written.
Maybe Juan Thornhill might be actually a decent play this week.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, he could. I mean, Pick City, it's coming.
I mean, he plays the same size as Eric Harris. So what happened with him last week? So.
Yeah, well, IDP Nation, again, we're happy to have you here with us, guys, as we prepare for, we're going to break down Week 11. We got Week 12 coming up. We're going to talk some studs today, some guys who really came through. I mean, it's kind of top-heavy this week. And we'll talk about some guys who kind of sucked. Some of them have been sucking for a while, but we'll get there. So I guess we'll just start out. The biggest name that popped to me was Maxx Crosby. 5 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 4 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble. And
we talked about him having a decent game, possibly. He kind of came out. Clean Farrell obviously had the more sacks, but he's the one that had all the quarterback pressures the week before. So,
yep, he came on. They both kind of came on strong those Thursday night game they were on 2 weeks ago last week, and so we kind of took note. They're both rookies. And then, I mean, this was literally a coming out party for Maxx Crosby, though.
For sure.
I mean, it is the Bengals, and it is like terrible offensive line, rookie quarterback. But I mean, still, 4 sacks, that's nothing to F with. You know what I mean? Like that's
a monster day. 5 tackles, 5 solos, and 4 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss.
And the crazy thing about Maxx Crosby is in dynasty leagues. I mean, I promise you that he's on some waiver wires in dynasty.
Oh, for sure.
Just because, I mean, you look at the way the season's gone for the Raiders. Benson Mayowa was kind of not playing a lot of snaps, but he was getting a lot of the stats early on. Clelin Ferrell was the high draft pick. So those are the kind of guys people kind of settled in on as, these are the edge rushers or the guys that I'm going to go for on this team. And Maxx Crosby just kind of was, 3rd or 4th option.
He could make a big push here late. be looked at for
a DL1, you know, and even on that team as the DL1. You know, Clelin Ferrell looks like he's going to need some time to develop. Looks like Maxx Crosby is developing nicely.
I see it maybe because they're focusing so much on Clelin Ferrell.
Yeah.
And I said that I really like Maxx Crosby because he just comes out of nowhere. So, I mean, he sits there. He's a stout kid.
He seems like he plays hard, you know, from what I've watched of him.
The one thing you can't teach is heart, right? So, I mean, that kid, he's a baller. He had a great 2 weeks in a row now.
4th, 5th round pick? I can't really remember. I know he was definitely farther down.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I want to say he was a 4th rounder.
Yeah,
I have to look top of my head. At one time, somebody told me he was an undrafted free agent, which, I mean, I guess that's possible. But I'm pretty good about knowing rookies. So
yeah. I'm looking here at the snap percentages. Ferrell played 65% yesterday, and Crosby was next in line. He actually played a little bit more. He played 78. What that actually ends up being in real numbers is Crosby played 49 snaps, and then Ferrell played 41. So, I mean, not a big discrepancy there. But, you know, Crosby was the production.
He did more with his 49 snaps, that's for sure.
So he's a guy that I'm honestly looking in my dynasty. I'm in 2 dynasty leagues. One of them I know he's taken already, but one of them I'm about 90% sure he's not. So I'm going to be sliding in there on the waivers this week. I mean, he's 22 years old, 23, you know, kind of an unassuming guy, kind of coming out of nowhere. I'm going to pick him up. I'm going to do my best to. So IDP.
Yeah, he was drafted in the 4th round. You know, and if you watched the Hard Knocks, he's the guy that broke his hand. You know, so he was playing really good.
Because I don't know why I didn't. I was just being a dick.
He broke his hand, had surgery. Like, he was having a really good camp. You're like, oh man, this sucks. He's not a small dude. He's 6'5", 260. So
it's nice. He's a dude, definitely. You know, guys, he's had the big game. If you played him, I didn't play against him in any leagues, but I know that some people did play him.
He's got 28 tackles, 6.5 sacks, and a forced fumble.
Yeah, a lot of that came yesterday, though. So keep your eye out, IDP Nation. If he's on your waivers, he's a guy you definitely want to go probably scoop up, especially in Dynasty, late season breakout year. So Michael Bennett.
Anybody that plays the Bengals,
yeah, anybody that plays the Bengals is going to break out.
Just
except for Clelin Ferrell.
Light them up.
All right, Michael Bennett. He had 3 tackles, 2 sacks, and a tackle for loss. I mean, honestly, and the next guy on this list is also a Cowboy, Robert Quinn. 3 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits.
And I think the biggest thing about Michael Bennett is we've kind of held off because we're trying to see if he found a new home, you know, and that's all it takes is to find your right spot, right? We got to know
where you're able to play to your strengths, where they're not kind of trying to game you. And I feel like I love New England, but they like to. I mean, I don't love New England. I don't know what the fuck I just said that for.
You love their coach.
They like to game people. You know what I mean? They like to take guys and say, "Well, this is what you do now here." And Michael Bennett.
I mean, they game plan better than anybody.
Yeah. And like you said right before we came on, is like Jamie Collins, one of the best linebackers all season. He had 0 stats. I mean, that had to have been somehow that was designed that way. I don't want to get into the weeds or why. But I'm looking here at some snap percentages from yesterday. My dude, Robert Quinn, I've been banging the drum for this dude for weeks now. He played the most defensive end snaps for the Cowboys, 75%. DeMarcus Lawrence came in 2nd, and then Michael Bennett came in 3rd. Number-wise, that's 49 snaps, 46, and 43. And again, I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence popped last week, but he's been super chill all season. I mean,
I'll tell you, I just didn't. You know, we talked about your side. I just didn't trust him. So,
and Robert Quinn, I mean, I've been banging the drum for this dude for weeks. I have him in 1 league. I did not play him yesterday because I played Dante Fowler because I thought he would get to Mr. Trubisky. Turns out that was a mistake. I did encourage people on the live cast yesterday, the IDPArmy, to play Robert Quinn if you had him. I didn't take my own advice, so I ended up missing out on about 25 points. So, but Robert Quinn, he's an elite. I mean, he's kind of like Justin Houston. He's one of those dudes where it's like, you know, we hit this age in fantasy football. Like I think it's like 28, where we kind of just decide a guy is just not. He's on the down, and without any sort of real indication. Now, he was in Miami last year, and he did do fuck all there, but nobody did anything in Miami, so you can't really hold that against him. And Robert Quinn has shown himself to be one of the most elite pass rushers in the NFL. Another guy that kind of popped up on the list a little later here, who's another older guy. He ain't done shit all season, but he just popped up yesterday, was Ryan Kerrigan.
Ryan Kerrigan.
Yeah,
nothing.
I was
all year.
All season. He hadn't done a damn thing. And I was watching yesterday because I have Matt Ioannidis, and so I was like, okay, there's a big white dude, on the edge. He's coming off. I was like, that's Ioannidis. Nope, that's Ryan Kerrigan. I was like, all right, well, here's another. Oh, okay, he's getting the quarterback. That's Ioannidis. Nope, that's Ryan Kerrigan. I was like, son of a bitch. And I have Ryan Kerrigan, and I benched him yesterday. I've only played him like once or twice this season just because I haven't trusted him. But he went out and had 4 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. What else did he have? 2 quarterback tackle for a loss, which, that's money. An IDP 1-2-3 league, which is kind of what we're kind of pushing for the IDPArmy to kind of start, moving towards and understanding kind of as a balanced, simple scoring format in our league. That's a good 20, 25 point day right there. I'm assuming, and with bye weeks,
it's just nuts. I really expected Ioannidis to have the day Kerrigan had, and Ioannidis hardly did anything. So
yeah, he really didn't. And let's not hold it against him. He's been keeping us afloat. I've got him in a couple of teams. I know you do too. He's still be in my lineup next week. Let's put it that way. I'm not scared. I'm not running off Ioannidis, but it was kind of good to see Ryan Kerrigan get back in there. He's had, I think, 10 sacks like every season for like 13 years or something like that.
Yeah, I love seeing vets get after it. So
So it was good to see. A little late in the season, but I do have him on a dynasty league, so that where I have invested heavily in pass rushing linebackers. I don't have like any real of your atypical middle linebackers on that team, so he'll be back in my lineup next week probably, just based on this game, seeing him actually get out there. Played 82% of snaps yesterday, so that's what you want. So
yeah,
it was good to see, at least on that end from him. But back to Robert Quinn, back up to him. He's a guy you pretty much have to play the rest of the season out. Him and Michael Bennett did good. DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm trying to sell DeMarcus Lawrence if I have him. I have him in one league, and it's just not very fun.
So. I have a buddy that I swear has the fantasy gods over top of him because he traded away Myles Garrett the week before last week, because that was our trade deadline. He traded away DeMarcus Lawrence last week, and then boom, one guy gets suspended indefinitely, the other guy goes a complete dud this week. I'm like, dude, who are you? Like, how do you pull this off? And we all say it to him, like, it's just crazy. He's won our dynasty championship. Like, I think he's been to the championship every year.
He's playing the stock.
He's won it 3 or 4 years.
Playing the market. Sell high, buy low.
That's what he does, man.
Speaking of buying low, who would be a good buy low right now? Would be a good.
We said last week Maxx Crosby's a buy low guy, but not anymore. He's not going to be a buy low at all.
He broke out. That makes him a good sell high candidate too. If you're really going to be like that, I guess, like you said, though, some trade deadlines have gone through. So
yeah, it's mostly his last weekend's trade deadline's over, so it's mostly everybody's. So.
We had a few other guys kind of pop off here. I'll read them off. Yannick Ngakoue, he put himself in yesterday. He had a sack, forced fumble, 4 tackles, quarterback hit. That puts him. He is now the second all-time sack leader for Jacksonville. He's been in the league 4 years, so that just shows you the kind of consistency that he has. Even with the injury earlier this season, starting off a little bit slow. He's a sack machine. His tackles have come up this year, which is something that in the offseason I know you and I looked at and were like, that was the one thing that kind of kept him from being an elite defensive end, was he can get the sacks and he can get the big plays, but he just seems to not really get his tackle floor was just a little too low. But he's done a good job this season of bringing that up. I'm pretty sure I haven't looked, but he should be on pace from what I can tell to have his best tackle season overall. And it looks like he's on track again for another 10-plus sack season. So kudos to him. I've always liked him. I'll be very interested.
Yeah, you've always been on Yannick.
I'll be very interested to see what they end up doing with him this offseason, because he's going to get paid. It's just, is it going to be in Jacksonville? And I'm starting to think he might be able to linger around there, because Calais Campbell
he's had the injury bug all year, so I'm with you. I don't.
And Calais
Campbell's getting paid more, right? right now.
He's getting paid right now, but he is 33, I believe. And, Yannick's only 24, 25. And Josh Allen, I mean, they're proving to be very capable pass rushers. It might be time for Calais Campbell to move on, get a different role, and they might try and keep Yannick. And the thing about Yannick, too, which is underrated, is he's a leader. I mean, for people don't like it, he doesn't get a lot of shine, but I followed him on Twitter for years. And there's a couple of guys, I always tell people, follow guys you like on Twitter because you can learn a lot about them. And I've learned a lot about Yannick. That's why I've been huge fans of Yannick and Stephon Diggs. I've been following them for years on Twitter, and they're very I don't know what the right word is. They're very humble. They're very focused. Like, they're both very, I mean, I'm not, we'll get into like religion, but they're both Christ followers. So, they'll put stuff on there a lot, and they'll say, I'm praying for good things for me and my people. And, they always say, like, up early, working out, and like, they're just very positive. The vibe that you get off of them, it's not dramatic. It's not, nonsensical. It's not, look at me. It's very like God first, not like the Antonio Brown call God bullshit either. Like, this is like real humility and like real hard work, and it's paying off for both of them. Jake's got a big contract in the offseason, and Yannick is healthy and on his way to one of his better seasons. So it looks like it's going to pan out for him too. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Calais has 5.5 sacks. Let me give you this interesting thing here. Maxx Crosby has more tackles, more forced fumbles, and more tackles than Calais Campbell this year.
And it's like you said, it's a weird year for Calais Campbell because we're used to him being one of the top flight guys. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, he's got like 87 sacks.
Yeah, he's a beast
on his career. I mean, this dude he's nothing to shout about
too. But it's gonna. I think that if Yannick doesn't stay with Jacksonville, I will be very disappointed in Jacksonville because they've got a guy there that, I mean, he could be an anchor for that defense, and we've seen that defense falling apart. I mean, the past 3 years, Dante Fowler's gone, Jalen Ramsey's gone, Telvin Smith is gone. I mean, these are guys that you kind of thought would be building cornerstone pieces, and they're not there. And Miles Jack, I mean, I don't know. He had a decent game yesterday, but he's not somebody I'm looking to build my team around. But Yannick and Josh Allen have proven to be very capable, and if Nick Foles can go out there and keep them in games, they'll keep them in games on the other side of the ball. So, kind of moving through this list slowly today because we keep talking, but we got Shelby here. No, go for it.
No, I'm just saying Calais Campbell. We're just talking about Calais Campbell. Real quick, I just think that, he's in his third year. It's kind of almost a year like you have to show out or you buy, right? So he's only played 10 games. He's had a back injury, which it's not something to think of, big. That's something you really got to look at when you're looking at long term as a back injury. I mean, J.J. Watt is a perfect example. You hurt your back, you hurt everything. Okay, your body is trying to work on everything.
In other places, yep, and that puts you at risk for other injuries. 100%.
I mean, look at other sports. Tiger Woods, right? Maybe the greatest golfer of all time.
Maybe
hurts his back, has 2 back surgeries. I mean, it lingers on you. I mean, if you don't have his injuries, we ain't talking about anybody else.
Yeah.
So,
and crazy thing is, Calais Campbell was still leading the way in defensive end snaps this week. I mean, he played 79. Yannick played 76, and Josh Allen was only out there 51% of snaps. And yet again, Josh Allen and Yannick are the guys that are getting the stats for you. So this is one of those kind of.
I think that's on the coach. I think it's, hey, I'm paying this guy. I might as well get. He's team captain. So,
and that's probably not smart. I mean, Yannick is probably Campbell might be better spelled in, kind of like they're doing with Josh Allen. Yeah, he might, stay fresher and actually get a little bit more going on. But
I would agree.
Yeah. So we'll finish out this list for some edge and DL guys. Shelby Harris, 5 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. He's, Broncos guy. I don't have him anywhere. He's not really showed up on the studs.
He might be a guy that you can get on waiver wires, to be honest with you. I was talking to somebody who's like, man, I don't know if he's even available because he's kind of immersed himself ever since.
Bradley Chubb went out.
Yeah, Chubb got hurt. So
yeah, Wolf and him have both kind of been having these start good games. I saw Von Miller had a couple of good plays yesterday. I didn't put him on this list. I can't really tell you why. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe he just didn't do just enough, but he had a decent game yesterday. I know he had at least one sack, so good for him.
Yeah, I mean, Vaughn has to do something because as much as you want to keep him, you're going to have to pay him to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and somebody else will pay him. We're looking at a Jadeveon Clowney situation where it's like,
yeah, but Jadeveon Clowney is so much younger than Von Miller.
You're right.
So much younger.
How old is Von Miller? He's only like 30, I think. Maybe less than 30.
I mean, he's in his second contract, right? In the middle of it, or maybe in the end of his second contract.
He's 30 years old. Okay, yeah, you're right. So wherever, but think about it though. Didn't Calais Campbell go to Jacksonville at 30?
At 30.
So he's had 3 good years, 2 good years there, and an okay year. So
honestly, he had probably 2 of his best years at.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you're still probably going to be able to squeeze something out of Von Miller, just depending on where he goes, the scheme, et cetera, et cetera. But
I mean, it could be in a Michael Bennett situation. I mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean. So I don't know. Let him go would be super hard, but
the Cowboys love collecting pass rushers. So let's see. We got Matt Judon. He popped up on here. He had a great game yesterday. 7 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble.
He led in every category, by the way.
Yeah, he was a beast, and he did a lot of that early too. I mean, I thought his game was going to get even more out of control when I first saw that. I mean,
but then it got out of hand. I was like,
I felt bad for Deshaun Watson yesterday, but I don't know if you saw his post game conference. But I mean, I like him a lot. He's a very humble guy. He's he's
been in that position. He's taken bad losses. He's he's won big games, and that's what's the joy of talk about an example here. Trubisky had 1 season. We're talking about a guy who's played all 4 seasons at Clemson, balled out, had tough seasons, and he had to play behind a guy who was honestly a really good quarterback at Clemson. So it just shows you his leadership, and he's just a genuinely good dude.
He carries himself the way you would like a grandpa would. Like it's just like he just always got something. Sit down here, I'll tell you a little story on my knee. And it's like he's like a 23, 24-year-old dude. And it's just like he's got my utmost and complete and total respect as a human being, as a player. He's not in your face about it at all. Very humble, and in defeat. I mean, I've never seen somebody lose a game like that. In his fantasy, he was dog shit. But I mean, like for real, like I'm rooting for him. And he even brought himself in the way he brought himself up still as an MVP candidate in that conversation. He didn't do it like it was just he was very humble, very, like you said, leadership like, and he's a guy that I would want to be around. And I think the Texans have a very good shot to win a Super Bowl with him, just based on what I've seen of him as a player and a leader.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, I mean, I think he needs to stop getting kind of crazy and jumping over people, but overall, he's a phenomenal player. I mean, let's be real. The 2 best quarterbacks in that draft are Mahomes and Watson. It's not even close.
And it's not even close. You're right. And I'm very happy to be watching football for the next 10, 15 years with them here. So, Chandler Jones, 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and 2 quarterback hits. He now has, I think, 11 and a half or 12 and a half sacks on the season. He might be our sack leader. We know Myles Garrett's not going to be it.
Nope.
So it's pretty much him, TJ Watt, Shaq Barrett are the guys that I think are going to be fighting for the sack leader.
We're talking about somebody who's cooled down, Shaq Barrett. I mean, as hot as he started.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 7 sacks in 3 games or something. I mean,
but he's shown that he can get them in bunches and he can get them like that. So I'm not writing him off yet. I mean, 2 or 3 down games, that's fine. He's still one of the top 4 sack leaders. So he's a 3 sack game away from being on top again. And I don't think they have a bye anymore, so he could just keep rolling through. TJ Watt, another phenomenal game from him. Well, not phenomenal, but
he's good for a sack a week, I'm telling y'all.
Yeah, 4 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, a pass defended. And that pass defended, I mean, he's had 2 of these this year where they're pass deflections where he's just missing taking a house on them.
Should have been a pick.
The house, yep. Because I mean, he's behind. I mean, both of these have been they're throwing little flat routes, and he jumps up, and like they hit him in the chest. If he can pull him in, I mean, he's gone. But I think we'll get one of those before the season's over, based on what.
He is showing that he is just as good, if not better, than JJ. I'm telling you right now.
Some guys on the defensive line that really let you down. Grady Jarrett didn't do fuck all yesterday. Sam Hubbard didn't do fuck all yesterday, which is really disappointing. Who else let us down yesterday? Khalil Mack didn't really do much last night. Aaron Donald didn't do shit. If you have these guys, I don't need to tell you, rub it in your face. Matt Ioannidis did not do what we hoped he would do.
That was my biggest letdown. I was really shocked by that. So,
Ryan Kerrigan decided to show up. I don't have to do everything around here now. Great.
When the guy that you expected to do all he did, for his career hasn't shown up, and then all of a sudden he balls out.
All right, little tiny sidebar here. I was looking at, it's NFL draft season, so all the draft scouts are coming out, all the mocks are popping up, and I saw a mock that had Chase Young going to the Redskins. I was like, do y'all know what their defensive lines got on it? Like, what? I mean, I get Chase Young is probably the best player available, but I'm like, you're looking at all of these guys would be the.
There is no way he gets by Cincinnati.
If he did end up on Washington, it's like every one of these defensive linemen that they have on their team would be a starter and probably an every down player on any other team. I mean, they've got Montez Sweat, who hasn't even really broke out yet, but I mean, he's good. I mean, if you watch him play,
He's a baller.
Be bopping around. Deron Payne yesterday had a pretty good game. He hasn't had the sacks fall his way, but he's only a second-year player. He's playing a high number of snacks at D tackle. He needs to.
We talked about it. We thought that they might have one of the best front sevens, and they banged up in injuries. I mean, so they're looking at a linebacker before
and they're young. Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Ioannidis are all under 24 years old. I mean, there's
Jonathan Allen do yesterday.
Just okay. Didn't we have a bet on him? Allen. We did. Jonathan Allen versus Sam Hubbard. I'm pretty sure I won that one.
Yeah. Well, Hubbard had like
3 tackles.
And an assist, I think.
We got to figure out what hat we're going to have you in next week.
Well, what Jonathan Allen had, because that's what I need to know.
Real quick. You want to start reading off some of these linebacker studs for the people here?
You look up, I'll go with some studs. All right, Joe Schobert obviously balled out. I mean, we said nobody's going to top him, but Jordan Hicks tried to get him a run. 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 4 pass deflections, a quarterback hit, and 2 interceptions. Should have been 3 interceptions.
And a touchdown.
I mean, like a yard short. I mean, just ridiculous. Joe Schobert. And I know like 3 people actually had him on the bench. I said, who are you? Like, what's wrong with you? Wow, he's a must-start every week.
Man, you got lucky. It looks like they tied. They each had 3 sacks or 3 tackles.
So –
no hat bet this week.
No hat bet.
You got lucky.
I mean, I thought I was going to wear it after watching,
Yeah.
Jordan Hicks going against me yesterday, 12 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, 2 quarterback hits, a pass deflection, and 4 interceptions. The reason Joe Schobert beats him, another interception, and 3 more pass deflections. I mean, Jordan Hicks still had a ball every game. Don't get me wrong here.
Yeah, 1 interception. Jordan Hicks is a guy, remember early in the offseason, we kind of talked about him, and, the community overall was very –
I love the move by them to get Hicks.
Well, the community was down on him. They're like, "Oh, he gets hurt." I was like, "But look at what he's done when he's not hurt. You can't just assume somebody's going to get hurt because
I can say the same thing about J.J. Watt.
Exactly, and that didn't
mean been injury prone every year.
So, I mean, Hicks. If you have Hicks, you drafted him as probably linebacker 18 off the board. That's just facts. All right, so you basically have a top 3 linebacker every week, and he's not just a fill the gap kind of guy like Blake Martinez is. I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row with an interception, sack. Chandler Jones is causing enough disruption that he's getting, tackles for loss too. Jordan Hicks might be fantasy MVP stat. He's in the conversation for fantasy MVP, in my opinion, because he's going to finish as a top 3 or 4 for sure linebacker, and you probably paid a linebacker 2 price for him. The other guy that's probably fantasy MVP status, which we're not talking about today because he kind of sucked this week, but Minkah Fitzpatrick, I know for a fact I picked him up on waivers in 2 redraft leagues, and I got him super late in my dynasty draft in the offseason. So for him to be a top 3 defensive back, and he was, people just took dumps all over him in the offseason, talked him down. I mean, I took a shot, and so they're both in my. We'll have an episode later, I'm sure, close to the end of the season or right after the season wraps up, where we'll do fantasy MVPs. But they're both in contention, in my opinion. So anyway, sorry, Jordan Hicks is blowing up, and I think people are just kind of, I don't know if there's some sort of fatigue on him or there's just this bad taste in their mouth, but you missed out. I mean, I feel bad for you.
I'll tell you somebody who was really close to having a phenomenal day was Demario Davis.
He had a great day.
He had a great day, but he had 4 pass deflections, and two of those could have been interceptions.
He had an interception too early.
So he had 6 tackles, 4 pass deflections, a tackle for loss, and an interception. And so close.
Yeah.
This guy, so close to having a monster day. He had a great week last week, and he's definitely in our studs this week.
Good friend of the show, Demario Davis. Shouts to the
props.
I tweeted that. He liked that one tweet I sent out last week where I, put out.
He retweeted you, didn't
he? I think he did. And then I tweeted at him yesterday just because I was like, shit, fuck it, whatever, I'll give it a shot. I was like, good catch, like right after the interception. He liked it last night. So he's active on Twitter, y'all.
He's a Twitter.
Yeah,
he's a Twitter
Davis fan. He'll show you a little love. You show him a little love. So good friend of the show, Demario Davis. Maybe someday we'll get him on here for the people. Get him.
That'd be legit.
Induce him into the IDP Army for real. So
that'd be what's up. We'll definitely do that.
White steaks.
All right, let's keep going. Nathan Gary. Again, I kind of called him out yesterday, right? I'm like, listen, we need him to start stepping up again. And he did. 10 tackles, tackle for loss, a sack, and a quarterback hit. I'm going to give a shout out to my man Russ, who's been on this dude for, I don't know, all season.
Yeah, Russ is probably one of our first IDP Army inductees. He loves chopping it up with us on Twitter. He always gives us his dark horse candidates of the week, and he usually hits on about 50% of them. So I'm loving it. He put me on Gary. I picked up Gary in a dynasty league, and I played him yesterday, and I'm very happy. So thanks, Russ.
Tremaine Edmonds, we said, hey, I thought it was going to be a good week, so I'm going to win that one with you because we had a little argument that we should play.
Due for a good week.
Yeah, Tremaine Edmonds, 12 tackles, half a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and a pass deflection. Big day.
Yeah, big game.
And then you talk about Milano disappeared. So,
yeah, he didn't. He didn't. He still put up a solid game. He put up what they basically flip-flop roles. He put up what I would call your standard, Tremaine Edmonds line, about 8 tackles.
I just think, I don't know if maybe it's just an injury, but because Tremaine Edmonds, he's a bullet, dude. Just heat seeker. So it seems like he's more been sitting, and he's the guy he's the young buck. So send him. You know what I mean?
He's going to develop into a year or two from now. He's going to never not be on the stud section. That's how I feel about him. He's on and off, but 2-3 years from now, he's going to be the Joe Schobert. He's going to have that sack, 2 interception, 16 tackle, 4 tackle for a lost game. Like it's coming. So he's still a guy that is a big buy in Dynasty and probably a buy low even, especially after the mediocre year he's been.
Well, I'll tell you something that's not a buy low and something that you and me have basically preached on from the first week of the season. It's like, listen, everybody loves Deion Jones because Deion Jones had such a good 5 games at the end of the year last year being injury. I said, listen, Devondre Campbell is the athlete. He's just a good linebacker, and he doesn't miss tackles at all.
Yep.
Well, he showed out again yesterday. 11 tackles and an interception. Give me some props, Devondre Campbell, because you are a savage.
Yeah, he's another guy that might be in that conversation for MVP just because where you drafted him, where you got him in your league compared to what he's doing.
Oh, ADP? This dude was what?
Barry. He probably on your waivers. He probably wasn't even drafted.
I know 2 or 3 people. They're listening to our show and in our league. And boom, boom, boom. I had 3 guys went and pick him up after our second week show. I'm like, listen, Devondre Campbell is the steal of this draft, and you guys need to pick him up. And they were on waiver wires on three of my groups. So.
I told you I picked him up. I'm in this shout out to Dr. Mayhem IDP. I'm in this crazy league that he runs. Some people are IDP heads probably know him because he runs a couple of these leagues, but it's like a 16-team all IDP. There's a bunch of dudes in there from IDP that are in the IDP community. And Devondre Campbell was on our waiver wire last week. We have short benches, which I get. So somebody probably had to drop somebody, but they dropped Devondre Campbell. So I picked him up. He had a massive game last week, another massive game this week.
There's no way this dude will be on the waiver wire for anybody.
I couldn't believe it. So I appreciate whoever did that. He's been killing it for me. He's never leaving my lineup again. And like you said, I mean, he's going toe to toe with guys like Blake Martinez and Devin Bush. And guess what? You didn't even pay for this dude. Like, you just got him. You just went down to Goodwill and picked him up, in the hand-me-downs, and he's performing quite well. So, shouts to Devondre Campbell. Keep balling, bro. You killing it out there. And I mean, this, this Atlanta defense is suddenly looking better. And
they look like they're looking like the team we expected at the beginning of the season. But they do this, man. They make a late resurgence every year. And you're like, who are you? Like, where'd this come from? Like, we need a bye week. All this,
They were getting sacks yesterday. I saw Vic Beasley got a sack. I was like, okay. And then I saw Tack McKinley got a sack. I was like, okay. But he got hurt, which unfortunately. But I was like, there's two guys you don't ever see get sacks.
Yeah.
Guys that, the two primary pass rushers actually got sacks. Like, what the hell's going on down there, y'all?
Yeah, big weeks. Let's get rolling. Dre Greenlaw. Again, we told you, like, we had everybody ask us, hey, should we play Greenlaw yesterday? Yes, man.
On the live cast.
10 tackles, a tackle for loss. I mean, as soon as Quan got hurt, he plays well, right? So, yeah, he's an easy play, guys. I mean, let's just mark it down. Okay, it's 3 weeks in a row. Dre Greenlaw has been a stud. Continue to play him. Quan's gone.
Not coming back.
He's got to fill the void, so he's there. Nick Vigil, we said, it's funny. In the same conversation, we said, hey, should we play this guy, or this guy? And two of the guys were Nick Vigil and Dre Greenlaw. Well, we said our two picks were Nick Vigil and Dre Greenlaw. 12 tackles for Nick Vigil and a fumble recovery. Huge, man. If you're getting 12, 13 tackles out of a guy, give me it all day. Next guy, Devin White. You and I, he was my top two guy beginning of the year. He got hurt, and ever since he came back from injury, 10 tackles a week.
Yeah, basically. He had that one down week last week, but I mean, and not just tackles with some bonus stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting pass deflection. He had 2 forced fumbles that 1 week. 13 tackles is enough for me. So,
I mean,
he's proven himself to be very active out there and very capable. And he was the first linebacker taken. I mean, we've been on
that's 30 points in some leagues, guys, because some leagues you have him as a solo tackle is 3 points, and that's 36 points. So, just crazy to me.
Yeah, he's coming around. So it's good to see, and it's good to. I mean,
right next to Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, 12 tackles, a tackle for loss. That was a big game yesterday on both sides. I mean, let's start Jordan Hicks.
A lot of plays run.
Chandler Jones.
A lot of offense going on. So these defensive guys, I mean, Buda Baker, we'll get to him in a little bit. Another massive game from him. So,
yeah. I had a bunch of these guys going against me here. So it was rough. Jalen Smith, 9 tackles, tackle for loss. Leighton Vander Esch still had a good game. Jalen Smith has been more consistent player this year. And a lot of it is LV's had some injuries. But
he looks like it too. I don't know if you watched a little bit. He looks, every time he makes a tackle, it looks like it hurts him. Like, I feel bad for him. And, we had high hopes for him coming into the season, especially after the season he had last year. I mean, he just stormed the scene. But
he had a huge year last year.
He's struggling this year a little bit for IDP. But if we're talking stocks, I mean, he's a buy. He's a little lower now than, last offseason he was basically untouchable. Right now, someone making a playoff push in your dynasty that's looking for a little more juice. I mean, you got somebody that's got juice right now, and that's what you want. You might be able to go get LVE and have him on your team for next year when he's back in fighting shape. So, Todd Davis, last guy on this list, 13 tackles. I didn't see it coming. He's been pretty boring all season, capable but boring. You're not going to get a lot of extras with Todd Davis or anybody on the Broncos defense. I mean, sometimes you're getting these guys that pop off like Wolf or Harris, but I don't know. Todd Davis, I mean, if you've got him and you played him, you got 13 tackles out of him. So, but
yeah, we had a question about him yesterday and whether they should play him or not. Like, listen, he wasn't of the 3 that we picked because the athlete was Devondre Campbell and Dre Greenlaw, which the 2 guys we picked in that group, and he ended up having a big day. So, going to give you a guy that I'm gonna give a little love to.
I didn't put Miles Jack on here either, but he had a decent game yesterday. One of his first decent games all season, guys.
He's been so inconsistent.
Yeah.
Burgess had a good game yesterday. He had 9 total tackles, a half a sack.
Nice.
I mean, somebody asked me about him yesterday, or Ryan Timms, if he should play him, and I mean, to get 9 tackles out of a guy on a whim, if you're going to play somebody, so he was a honorable mention. So
Nice.
And a pass deflection, I believe he had yesterday. So let's get back to the list. DB studs. Jamal Adams every week is I mean, he had 3 sacks yesterday. 4 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. He's not having cornerback safety numbers. He's having linebacker 1 numbers. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I can get 3 sacks and 3 tackles for loss from a linebacker, I'm in shock. I'm getting out of their starting safety.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks in a row he's been a top 1 or 2 defensive back. I mean, this is what you wanted. He did start out the season kind of slow, but I don't like seeing 4 tackles. I'd like to see a little bit higher tackle number, but the sacks definitely are nice to see, especially from the safety position. I'll take that to the bank.
I mean, yeah.
Long. He's got as many sacks right now as Aaron Donald. I saw somebody tweeted that, and he retweeted it and said something about last night. I love him. He interacts with his audience on Twitter.
Oh yeah, he definitely he loves the spotlight for sure.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's
Buda Baker.
Buda Baker might be 3rd week in a row that he's had 12 or more tackles.
That's crazy.
He's one of the tackle leaders in the league, just all positions. I think he was already 3 or 4. He might be the number 1 tackle leader in the NFL right now. I will actually look that up real quick. But he's been playing outstanding.
Well, you kind of wondered how he was going to play with Kittle going out, and it's still Buda Baker. So to have 13 tackles, tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit, this dude he's a savage, man. He's one of the best players in the league. I don't care.
Total tackle leaders in the league right now. Number 1, Jordan Hicks has 110 tackles. Number 2, Blake Martinez has 102 tackles. And remember, this is week 11, okay? Number 3, Buda Baker, 98 tackles. Number 4, Bobby Wagner. And number 5, Joe Schobert. So he's up there with the big dogs, the big dogs.
We're talking 4 stud linebackers and him. And he's right in the middle of it.
Yeah. IDPArmy, if you guys have been following us since early in the offseason, I mean, you know that Buda Baker was a hotly discussed topic. There are people in the IDP community that were dogging on him, kind of like they dog on Minka Fitzpatrick.
Telling that to do some shade, and there's just no way we were doing that.
Yeah, we weren't doing that. I mean, he was one of my guys. You can go dig through my tweets all the way back in August. I tweeted something about him. I believed in him. He's a stud. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. And there was this talk of he's going to get moved to nickel corner. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Blah, blah, blah. That was all speculation. You know what I mean? That was summertime. All we'd have is what we've seen him do. And last year he was really, really, really good. So there's no reason, just based on words are wind. There's people on Twitter talking shit, that you can't just say if he's been good, there's no reason to say he's not going to be good, in my opinion.
And thing is the other 2 lead safeties left. So how did you not think he was going to have this year?
The next safety on this list is Landon Collins with 83 tackles. So, I mean, he's 15 tackles ahead of the next guy breathing down his neck at the position.
I mean, that's the game he just had.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's just – it's wild to me that, it's good to me that, we were on that. If you were listening to us, IDPArmy, you probably got Buda Baker on your team in a way that cheaply, because other people were talking him down. So shouts to Buda Baker, another great game. Love that dude. Be happy to have him, and he's going to finish the season with over 120 tackles. There's no way he does not do that. He's going to be a tackle leader in the league.
He's got to get 5 tackles a game over the next 5 games. So
exactly, and he's got games left to go, which is the crazy part. It's not like we're in week 14 right now, and he's just breaking close to 100. I mean, we're in week 11. There's a lot of grass left. So, and he's elevated his play the last 3 weeks too. So, I mean, if he can keep up at this pace, elite.
Yeah, balling.
So IDPArmy, we love you. Keep following us. Keep trusting us.
I would say a new guy to the list has got to be Marcus Williams. 3 tackles, 2 pass deflections, an interception, and a touchdown.
The interception for the touchdown is really what got him in the studs category here. But he's been playing well. I saw PFF had him as one of their higher graded defensive backs last week. I don't know if you saw that. I know I follow PFF, so they every couple of weeks they put out these videos. These are the top 20 guys.
He's kind of been more of the guy that we've been talking about getting burned last year. And now he just seems finally stepping up. So
yeah. Von Bell, I don't have him on here. He had a decent game.
He kind of balled out again.
He did. Whenever I'm looking through this stuff, usually the first thing that pops up is tackle. So he was kind of lower on the tackle end, but he did have half a sack, half a tackle for a loss. I mean, he had a quarterback hit, obviously there, interception. So, I mean, these are places you can get points that aren't just tackles. And that's the thing, too, with the IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring that we're kind of, promoting and talking about and kind of letting the IDPArmy know that this is kind of the frame of reference that we're looking at. He had a great game, I mean, he had, I think, 17 points, and he didn't have to get 10 tackles to get there. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting credited for the extras, the sack, the interception. Like, those things are scored appropriately. So he was still a capable guy without having to go out there and just, be a grinder. So,
I'm just glad he's finally getting a season where he's playing a lot. So,
true that, and this just makes you even more excited because he'll probably, based on his play, he'll probably be signed, get re-signed and get a nice little contract from them next year. And he's working his way up to being a leader on that defense too. Right now, I mean, Kiko Alonso's there; he's not a leader. Cameron Jordan's a leader. Marcus Davenport, I mean, he's a young dude. Jamario Davis is definitely one of the leaders on that team. But, some of these guys like Von Bell that have been there for a few years, he's working his way up to being one of those guys on the team that is a leader, and his play is showing it. And I look forward to seeing him, continue to have a great IDP season and next year too. I mean, he's a guy that I think the Saints are definitely going to keep a hold of, and he's going to keep doing what he's doing, and he'll probably keep playing a lot of snaps. So,
yeah, he's had a lot of big plays. I mean, he's got 4 interceptions on the year. He's got 2 forced fumbles on the year.
Just 2, I thought.
4 fumble recoveries.
There we go. I mean, that's take that to the bank. I mean, that's in the scoring format that we have. I mean, that's like 45, 50 points right there just in the extras. And then he's still a good tackler too when they get back there. So,
and he's good for a touchdown every now and then. I mean, so
big play.
It's just fun to see him play every game. And last year he's kind of more of a role guy, and now, I mean, he's been pretty good for 5 tackles a game. I mean, he had the monster game against Dallas where he had 10 tackles, but
his floor is still very safe.
He's good for 5, couple pass deflections. It's fun to watch. I'm a big fan of Von Bell, so
nice.
I have been for a long time.
There's a few other guys. I'm not going to just read off all their stats, but I'll tell you they had good games. Trey Boston had a decent game. He's kind of a guy he's an unsung hero for IDP right now. He's cheap. He's on a lot of waivers in leagues that I'm in that are redraft. I have him in a dynasty. If you're looking for a bread and butter tackle guy, he's your guy. And he had an interception, I think, last week too. So shouts to him. Jesse Bates had a decent game yesterday. He had the interception at the end of the game you were talking about, so that helped boost his score. Plus he had 7 tackles. Taylor Rapp had a good game. 8 tackles. I think he had a tackle for a loss in there, pass deflection. These aren't massive monster win your week games, but these are, I think.
I mean, I'm getting 7, 8 tackles out of a safety. I'm taking it.
Yeah, because my opponent's probably getting that or less. You know what I mean? So I'll take it, like you said. Gerard Wilson had a decent game yesterday. Interception, his first of the season. I saw that. 6 tackles. I did not play him in one of my leagues. Who did I play over him? I think I put in. I have to go look. I might have played Malik Hooker over him. Just I don't know why, but I kind of wish I'd played Jared Wilson now. he's been solid for me all season as a DB2, DB3 when I need him. There's a lot of big corner games, but we don't really cover corners a lot because there's so much kind of fluctuation. But Kenny Moore, I know he's a pretty popular corner. He had a sack yesterday, 8 solo tackles. I mean, that's money in the bank. You know that. I know that. DJ Reed, he had that forced fumble that he took back for a touchdown yesterday at the end of the Arizona game. So that got him some good points.
Justin Reed was quiet, though.
Yeah, Justin Reed was quiet again, and I've been pounding the table for him for a while, and I've been playing him too. So
Ever since he got injured. Once he got injured, it seems like he just died.
And there was a play yesterday I saw. I don't exactly remember, but I just feel like I remember watching him being like, yikes, like he gave up, and it was not good to see. He'll definitely be taking a drop in my rankings this week. I've been regularly putting him in my top 24, and he's going to have to start proving it to me to get back up there with some of these guys that are just a little bit more consistently putting up, numbers for me. So
yeah, he actually got torched by Mark Andrews yesterday. So
that was it. He had a couple of just missed tackles where I was just like, dude, like you got to drag that guy down.
I know Mark Andrews is not a small dude. This dude's 6'7", 260. So,
yeah. But again, it's a game too where the desperation.
He's as big as Maxx Crosby playing tight end. So
yeah. So that was unfortunate to see, but whatever.
He's my biggest bet of the week.
Yeah, big disappointment, big miss. Any other big misses on the week we want to talk about? Because I already talked about Grady Jarrett. He let you down big time. Sam Hubbard kind of let you down.
I told everybody to be careful Tracy Wilson.
Tracy Walker.
Tracy Walker. I said, man, that knee, knee injuries are just one of those things. You just got to be iffy about them. He goes out. Taven Wilson comes in, scores, 18 points in one of my leagues.
Tracy Walker still he had 6 tackles in the first quarter almost, first half. He was playing well.
He balled out and then injury.
And then he got hurt again. I wish he would have, like you said, I kind of wish he would have just taken one more week off.
Just one more week. That's sometimes you just feel, hey, I'm getting paid. I need to get back on the field. And you wonder how much pressure he's getting. Like, hey, man, you're running full speed. Like, how you feeling? Like, you need to play.
Yeah, we need you out there. And it's crazy because, like you said, Tavon Wilson – he's been playing fairly deep.
He's been playing really good, but they're just not very deep after getting rid, Quandary Diggs. So
they're not doing anything to help themselves out, though.
Yeah, I said I was still going to play Taven Wilson in a lot of leagues.
I did. Crazy. I'm looking at this. He's not in our stud section, but Trey Flowers is having. Dude had a forced fumble again yesterday. He has no tackles. None at all yesterday. No sacks. He had 3 quarterback hits and a forced fumble, though, which puts his forced fumbles up to 1, 2, 3, 5 on the season. So he basically has.
See, that's what's weird to me. How do you get in a forced fumble, but you at least have an assist?
I know.
That's almost weird to me. Like,
I think he stripped it out of the quarterback. Probably one of those hits.
Which means he should have been a strip sack.
True. You're right. Like maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
I actually didn't get to see it yesterday, so I was driving back from Vegas. So
the 3 quarterback hits, that's still going to get you some points in a good league. The forced fumble will get you some points, but yeah, no tackles. He's got one of the lowest tackle floors of any defensive lineman, but he's a playmaker though. He's getting the forced fumbles, and he basically has half of one every week. So, just wanted to bring that up real quick with him. He's usually pretty high on my rankings.
He's still a great guy to have rostered either way.
Yeah, great guy to have on your roster. 26 years old, first year in a new team. So there are still things. Apparently he has concussion, so apparently he left that game too. So that might be why he didn't get any more numbers for you. But
well, there you go.
But IDPArmy looks like that's gonna be pretty close to wrapping us up. Big, like I said, top heavy week. Some letdowns, especially with, Grady Jarrett, Sam Hubbard, a couple linebackers that didn't really do a lot, but, that's the nature of fantasy football. You have
that's what it is. It's still a great week and still got a great game to watch tonight. So I'm always excited to watch Kansas City on Monday night. So
yep, Chiefs got some big people in. You got probably Chris Jones, Frank Clark. Not really a whole lot of other Chiefs I'm excited to play. You can play Tyrann Mathieu. Other side of the ball, you're playing Russian roulette with linebackers.
This is a huge week. Or a huge game tonight, just because you have to worry, especially with the Raiders winning, they need Kansas City to lose. So I don't think they will. But
you got Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram going in. They're going to be, they're going to be good plays. Mahomes is still coming off his injuries, not quite as mobile as you'd want. And
he's saying he feels better right now than he ever has, man.
Well, that's what everybody says till the offseason. And then the offensive line for the Kansas City is, it's not what it should be. So I think that Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa should have a bounce back game. He was kind of quiet last week.
I'm kind of hoping he doesn't, because that's one of the guys going against me.
Yeah, well, I hope he doesn't either. I want Mahomes to be protected. That's my dude. But aside from that, I guess we're pretty much closing the show out. Guys, give us a follow on Instagram at IDPArmy, on Twitter at IDPArmy. Also, our personal ones. We just dropped those if you're on the YouTube, at Jared Gray, at 50 Shades of Drunk, and at The Dynasty Chef. We also have a YouTube or Instagram for this show too, at the IDP 411, which we pretty much just cross post the stuff that we post from IDP Army onto there. Been posting rankings up there, got that up to date. Do some little live videos, kind of let you guys know when we're getting ready to record and stuff. So just building the community up. We love you guys. We wouldn't do this if it wasn't for y'all. Hit us with your comments, questions, DMs, all that. We love you. We're doing it, like I said, we're doing it for you guys. And happy to be here with my dude Jared, and we miss Steve. Shouts to the best Dynasty Chef producer that exists.
Cool.
So I guess I'll close it out for me. So love y'all, IDP 401 Army.
All right. Until next time.
Until next week.